Hello, everybody. Nice to have you over here. Today, it's another time when we have our Frogeex Green Tech Lives. It's my great pleasure to welcome Mr. Diego Romeiro, Chief Scientist from the Global Impact Alliance, and really one of our go-to persons, one of our go-to experts in terms of system thinking and all sorts of different perspectives connected to, of course, nature, technology, procedures, and also business. Diego and the Global Impact Alliance is helping companies, municipalities all over the world to kind of develop a solid plan that is real in terms of sustainability and also, the relevant activities to achieve that, and also be prosperous and have a thriving model in the future. So thank you so much, Diego, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Maybe some of our viewers or listeners, we're streaming today on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Some of you eventually know you or follow your work. I always appreciate any perspective that you share. We see it's a lot of academic knowledge that you bring together, all the different backgrounds that you have. Maybe you can just, like in 1 minute and 60 seconds, give us a little intro on the perspectives that you like to combine. And we have questions today. Some of you have the opportunity to also ask through the comment section. So if you have something, let us know. But maybe, Diego, you can start before we go into this biodiversity credits topic we have today. How did you come to this whole system thinking element, and what are the backgrounds that you combine? Because we talk on algae, we talk on biodiversity credits, we talk on financing, we talk on technology, on Web3. So how is that combined in your background?
First I did a biology course, then a master's in botany and environmental, and in the last I started to do my PhD in biotechnology. That is, for me, was the course that combined all the biology, chemistry, physics, technology, and all. But I think the systemic thinking and all these ideas come from work with different areas. I never focus in only one area. I all the time try to do all the things possible and learn all the things possible. So this helped me a lot to really have this overview of all the things, and the idea to combine all the knowledge. So for me, this is the most important thing: be a generalist than a specialist.
Yes. You literally took the words I was actually thinking of, because we also recently had a discussion on, I'm not quite sure now, discussing some environmental impacts of a solution. And I was just wondering, how can you, where do you have these combinations, this context that you can leverage that for your also advisory services and for designing the solutions? And that's really the answer. Where do you think, before, again, we go into this biodiversity credits topic, do you think it's something that we should kind of expand on, investing more into kind of enabling or facilitating people with the kind of general context, understanding how things work, or shall we really invest into or push for specialized niched people, as what we were taught in a few years ago?
Today we lack in generalists, and we can see this happen in all the areas, even in the medical area, in the medicine. We have a lot of specialists, and when some disease appears with a systemic approach, or a systemic thing happens in the body, the specialists don't know what is happening. And it's the same thing in the environmental area. When things, like in nature, all the things happens systemically. So the specialists most of the times don't understand the overview of what happens with nature. So this is danger, because sometimes we can choose paths that can put us in more danger than when we start to really understand the systems understand the actions that we need to make to really solve problems and all without create more problems.
I completely hear you. I was recently also part of a medical examination. We have also a question here in the chat. Maybe I can start with this one. Is this applied science? When we talk about most probably the generalized knowledge, Robert, if you listen to us, please drop a comment. Is this applied science as what we talk? Like when you have this overview, you can put it in the context. You have like understanding what elements can cause the damage or the problem in in your work.
Yeah, kind of. Sometimes we can have applied science working just through the eyes of a specialist too. So it's not all the time that applied science work with systemic thinking. But yeah, it's a kind of a way of thinking because yeah, like with applied science, we try to not all the people that work with that, but we try to understand first the system and then see ways to work better with the system that we are working. So yeah.
I hear you. I hear you. I mean, Robert, if that is good or not good enough, let us know in the comments in the section. And now let's deep dive on the biodiversity credits topic. That's the reason why we talk today. So there was this recent move. I think it was launched already like late last year with the attempt to have like a quantification of natural capital and putting some kind of values, being able to kind of roll it over also to the business side so they know what's the impacts. I mean, many times we hear it also from consulting or for working with partners in municipalities as well, that it's very difficult to quantify the value nature or ecological services bring or the damage that is caused to biodiversity. So how is it? What is your perspective on the biodiversity credits? If you like to share with us like a little top line on maybe like an explanation on your perspective, we appreciate that. And also, what do you think is the value for business or maybe the risks? But I'm sure there will be more connected questions to that. So
Mhm. Yeah, like always, the main problem today about biodiversity credits is the focus in quantity. So most of the times people just look to the quantity. And right now with the biodiversity credits, like the same thing happen again, and they are looking just about the quantity. Oh, the quantity of the species, the richness of species in the area, how many individuals they get from a project, but they don't look to the quality of the biodiversity. And this is the main point in nature. When we talk about the quality of biodiversity, we are connected this quality to the resilience of the biodiversity in the area. So how will be the food chain in the area? How is the biodiversity connected to this food chain? This is strong enough to stay alive for a long period or not? And with that, we have the another subject that we talk about genetics of the population, like the pool of the genes in the population is enough to keep the population or not. Because when we talk just about individuals and number of population of one species, we cannot certify that this population will stay a long time in the area because we have problems with genetics of the population. And this is something that they lack on the analysis about biodiversity credit. They are just looking to numbers of species, numbers of individuals, or sometimes in trees, size of individuals. And this is not enough to work with biodiversity. We need to guarantee that the biodiversity in the area are enough to stay long, to be resilient in the area, and not just numbers.
So connected to this, I mean, do you have any factors or parameters that you would suggest to consider in this element that are missing right now? I don't know if it's the variety of species, or what you mentioned, just to be able to guarantee. Guarantee is always a very interesting word. Everybody's kind of looking for a guarantee, either in investment or in business. And many people also look at, we have also carbon credits as a guarantee of ROIs, of returns on investment. So what is your perspective on that? Do you have any parameters that you would already suggest, like, well, that's maybe something that we can also look at, or it's missing clearly based on what you said? And then I have a following question regarding this more investment related topics.
Yeah, like today, I think the two most important things to look, yeah, for sure, look to the number of species and number of individuals is it's a beginning, but we need to look to the food chain. If this food chain is complete, the animals had food enough to keep life in the area. Have a lack of predators in the area to keep the balance between populations, and about the pool, the genetic pool in the population. They have variability enough to keep the reproduction of the individuals within a population or not, or in a few years or a few decades, this population will disappear because they don't have a genetic pool to keep the variability within the population. And this is something that already happened in nature. Sometimes a reduction of a population can reduce the genetic pool, and in a few decades or years even, the population can die entirely because suffer from a disease or something that create a pressure in this genetic pool, and the population don't have variability enough to handle a disease or something like that. So these are the two main topics about biodiversity that we need to look to create some guarantee that that population or the biodiversity in an area have uh, enough tools to keep uh, living in the area, to keep the population, to keep the supply of food for the population and all, and even to control the population with predators and all.
And when we talk about, it's like the name is also very similar. We have carbon credits, and we have now this biodiversity credits. Is there any like drastic difference between them, or what is the correlation for you? Is it like a connected system, or very similar approach with similar gaps as well? What is your point of view on that?
Yeah, it's this similar approach, and with the same lack of information or lack of understanding about the systemic thinking. Uh, it's all the same way. So they try to create a new market to sell something, exchange money, and they don't handle the main problem that this could help us to avoid more problems in the future, and to reduce the problems that we are facing right now from the ecological crisis that we are facing. So it's all the same mo, like looking to ways to sell something, to share it's kind of a makeup just to show people that they are trying to do something without fixing the problem. Like the carbon credits and the biodiversity credits, it's just ways to earn money and not to solve the problem itself.
And very interesting point that you mentioned, because there is a lot now of noise on the marketplace, because it's exactly this type of perspectives that come together. Do we really want to do or take measures that lead us to really solid change that can help us in the future? We all know we are living in changing conditions. It's not going to be better. The data is clear. 97% or 98% of scientists are clear. We hear it from every side. And we have also this constant cycle of business, always being on the move, selling something new. You have all these trends, and then there is all these green waves with green tech, green growth, whatever. So it's really these two perspectives coming together: true sustainability and the business perspective, the kind of how are we used to things, or do them right now. Many people, though, that work with either carbon credits or are starting in the biodiversity field, or somehow kind of are putting concepts together, uh, have very high aspirations in terms of bringing social impact, helping communities to restore the areas, restore like life in the areas, and be paid for that. Do you think it's because we said it also, or you mentioned it several times, it's a beginning. We know it's maybe incomplete, the data is not complete, but do you really see it as, yes, there is potential to really go this direction, achieve the goal? And yeah.
Yeah, like have the possibility to really achieve the goals and solve a lot of problems. But for me, the first thing that we need to change is the perspective that we have about the environmental. When we talk about ecology, we don't have the idea that the human species is separate from the environmental. And for me, this is the main point that we fail all the time. So we start to talk about ecology from a holistic perspective and include us in the scenario, in the nature, in the environmental is the first point. Because yeah, like working properly with biodiversity credits or even the carbon credits can help us to achieve not just like to reduce the climate change or the loss of biodiversity, but to achieve better or to improve the well-being of people, to improve the quality of the food. Because like right now, our society are facing a lot of disease and problems about our health, and most of them is basically because the lack of good food production. Right now, all the industrialization, technology, and all producing food are producing most of the disease that our species are facing or having all the virus or disease, cancers, and all. So working properly with nature, including us, understanding nature from a holistic ecology. This is the first point. Yeah, it's the first thing that we need to really change and really understand to properly start to work with carbon credits and biodiversity credits in a good way to help not just the environment or the nature, but us itself. So it's just a matter of perspectives all the time. We need to stop looking from financial or economic perspectives to a life perspective.
Very, very interesting point that you mentioned also. When I heard you speaking, I was kind of thinking about food production. I mean, you mentioned also, we know the large amounts of fertilizer that is being used. There are already finally some kind of indications, some reports, some studies are coming up that we need to gradually reduce. Then you have all these challenges with climate change, with extreme weather, with harvest, etc. So it's a very interesting discussion, and leveraging. I mean, we are on a Frogeex talk. Frogeex stands for, sustainability, and really enthusiastic people around sustainability, geeky, being geeky about sustainability, literally. So we definitely love to look for the connection to nature, and looking how to build on that and around that, not vice versa, because it's just the way we understand the world works. And it's very simple. We are developing as a species on a planet, but we had no impact to create the conditions which gave us the baseline, the foundation to kind of develop further. So it's certainly an element for sure to look for the connection to nature. Now, when we talk about biodiversity credits, and also putting a little bit your advisory business hat now on you, what do you think is like risk to consider for investors, for businesses that either want to invest, who want to leverage that? What are the things to consider, either plus or but also the challenges or the risks?
Mm, yeah, like we already see a lot of projects starting about biodiversity credits, and yeah, a lot of impact investors or even regular investors looking for to put money and uh, uh, use the opportunity this with these new credits on the market. But yeah, like thinking about the lack of information that they have in most of the projects, yeah, for me, I see a lot of risks for the investors because of this lack of information or lack of understanding about the biodiversity credits. Because in the end, yeah, like they can see a lot of numbers or the quantity numbers from projects, but when you start to think about the long time analysis from a biodiversity project, like the lack of understanding about the topics that I mentioned, like the genetic pool, the food chain, and all, can put investors at risk to lose the money because, like, uh, in the beginning of a project, we can cover or don't show these problems, so can appear very very interested and very or a very good opportunity for investors to earn money with the credits and all. But when we start to look this population of a species or something like that in the long run, in 10, 15 years, like imagine if they set a project without the genetic pool and the entire population that they start die after 10 years, like the investors can have the risk to lose all the money, and not just that, but lose or create a bad impact or a bad how can I say, a bad um, like people can the same thing that happens with Vera and the carbon credits. So like the population start to look differently to this kind of things, so they don't trust anymore. So this for me is the most important risk right now. They can start a lot of projects, but I don't see most of the projects stay longer because the lack of understanding about these topics, the food chain and the genetic pool, they can lose the project in a few years or decades.
So, would you have like a concrete example of maybe a concept where you saw this concept similar to biodiversity credits, maybe not yet with the name or with the reward or incentive system behind, but would you have any practical case that you can share with us? I mean, how it can be done right, or
Mm, yeah, yeah, examples of projects that was made right, it's very difficult because yeah, most of the times they look to the financial way to do things, and yeah,
the best what you
uh,
have seen so far, but where you have seen, oh, that was that had like four of the five elements. I mean, very interesting. I mean, we know, everybody knows that, and it's also something to accept that sustainability is a journey. Now everybody that loves nature uh,
Hmm.
sees it like in two ways, either like, oh, that means it's going to go slow, or yes, you can do it always better. You can always learn new things. You can do it differently. It's like when you're farming, maybe you try out one thing this year if you like, really want to do it bio or organic or regen, and maybe you try something else, you learn something new, you try something else next year. So yeah,
Yeah,
do you have any practice that you see that you would
yeah.
like to share?
It's not a biodiversity credit project, but I think a good example how biodiversity can impact an area is the Yellowstone example with the wolves that they introduce in the area, and even the water, the streams of water start to grow because the introduction of the wolves. So the pack of wolves start to control the population of herbivores in the area, and these allow the nature grow again, like trees and vegetation and all this impacting the production of water, giving more water to the area, more quality of water. So it's a good example related about how a small pack or a small population of one species can control the food chain and change the entire nature in the area. So this is the example that we need to follow, this kind of example. So they introduce a population of wolves, look into a genetic pool enough to keep that population, and that population start to control or and change the environmental in the area. And yeah, it's a chain reaction that happens, and yeah, we start to see a lot of things happen in the area, bring better results. So even results that they don't expect, like the water production in the area. So this is for me like the last years or decades was the best example about biodiversity. Uh, yeah,
Mhm.
how biodiversity can help us. But right now, all the things that I read about biodiversity credits, they don't look to that. They don't look to the function of nature. They are just looking to the quantity, the numbers that. So a bad example,
Mhm.
uh, if if we follow the way that they are preparing the biodiversity credits, I don't know, we can set a population of clones of from one species and plant a entire forest of clones, and for the way that they are looking, like the number of species or species or the size of the individuals, could be a clone forest, and it's enough. It's one species that you have there, but they don't look to the genetic pool of the population. So this approach can give opportunity to set a wrong project like that.
Mhm. If you just fulfill it, and it's a great point which you make, because it's like the criteria, like hard Excel sheets or something, you tick off the box, and when you think about it and you understand what you are kind of causing with that, or what the potential implication is, so what that is the difference in the type of approach that you may choose. So certainly a very interesting point. And are there any industries where you think, I mean, they are well suited to benefit from biodiversity credits?
All industries, all, because like when we talk about biodiversity, we are talking about life. So what industry that you could think that we cannot create an impact from life?
Mhm.
So if you create a improve of well-being from the employees, you have an impact. So this could help the industry to improve the production because like if the population start to have a better well-being, like the production will increase. So in the end, if we impact with biodiversity in the well-being of all the population, you can have an impact in all the industries. So this is the point that most of the time they lack, they don't understand, because they keep the idea that our species is out from the nature. It's not connected directly, but it's the otherwise. Like we are completely connected to that. So working with biodiversity, it's help will help us to improve the well-being, could help to improve the water production, could reduce the floods, could control or balance better the temperature in a city. So like start to plant more trees within a city, so you can reduce the floods, improve the well-being of people, can reduce the variation of temperature. So during the winter will be more warm or something like that. You could reduce the extreme uh, warm periods that we can have sometimes during the summer. So yeah, all the industries can have an impact from the biodiversity credit.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, share today to hear your perspectives. Just maybe the last question before we close off the talk today, the live chat today with you. And thank you so much, Diego Romeiro, again from the Global Impact Alliance, one of our key partners, and kind of looking at systemic elements, helping companies, municipalities to develop their journey towards kind of a thriving, resilient future. What is the one thing that you would like to highlight that this is what we need to kind of make it really solid, and yeah, just improve it on the way we go?
Yeah, like for me, the key element today, it's knowledge about nature. This is the lack that we have, and this is the key element that put us in a danger position, because the lack of information about nature and the lack about systemic thinking uh, allow us to create more problems than solve problems. And yeah, for me, this is the key point that we need to figure out a way to fix, to improve the education system, to give more information about nature, and to teach people to have systemic thinking, to not create more problems trying to solve small ones. And this is what we are doing all the time. We try to fix its small problems, creating big ones. So
If
yeah.
you have any example to share in the end, that would be much appreciated, and then we close the call for today.
mm, I think the most yeah, like I don't know, a few weeks ago, a new study shows that plastic recycling, are the main producer of nano and microplastics that put our health in danger. So we try to solve the problem of plastic doing the recycling, and now we are producing a problem even bigger with all the nano and microplastics in the environment, put us in risk too. So put our health in risk. So I think this is a very good example.
Thank you so much, Diego, for your time. It was a great pleasure having you here. Watch out for more information. We will have bioregions, also relevant for business, in one of the following sessions, and much more. So see you definitely soon. If you would like to leverage, we will have definitely some more information, whether it's the free resources. You have the link to connect to get your free download on biodiversity credits, or we have even also a masterclass running on this topic and connected, of course, to systemic thinking. So welcome you there. Thank you so much again. It was a great pleasure, and see you on the next one.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Bye.